Hi, Anti-Society! Welcome back to the Antisocial Planet, and today we're checking out some more Bleach, episode 249, and we have Ichigo en route to the human world and figuring out some of the stuff that's going on with Muramasa in terms of having a Soul Reaper, and that Soul Reaper being, like, sealed away because of, like, a rebellion against Soul Society, and we need to break the seal or whatever. Seems like there's, like, a whole other layer of meaning to this, maybe. I think it might be around the whole Muramasa's, like, fading away thing, so it might just be like a self-preservation. It might just be wanting his Soul Reaper back. I don't know. I'm here to find out. In 3, 2, 1, go. Yes, yes. They really had to give us this breakdown the whole time. Though, to be fair, it did take me a couple of times through before I was like, wait, I should be thinking about the fact that Zanpakuto, like, disappear. Like, are one connected to their Soul Reaper enough that they're like, they would disappear if the Soul Reaper was dead. And two, I'm like, oh, like, they also, like, can't survive without that connection. Which brings me back to my whole, Muramasa might just be like, hey, I would like to not, like, disappear, cease to exist. I don't know what really happens to Zanpakuto. Do they die? Do they go somewhere? They're, like, part of a soul. In a way, right? Like, because they're part of the Soul Reaper. Maybe I'm trying to be, like, too in-depth about this whole concept. I am dealing with, like, a magical fantasy world, so maybe it's not as intense and strict as I might be trying to make it. Yeah, there's a lot of things we gotta deal with going into this, you know, like some abilities that we need to go up against, some, you know, formidable opponents, some abilities we have to get back. But I like that we're getting some of the people from like Ichigo's crew. his friends, because I was missing them. I was like, I'm sad that I'm not gonna be able to see some of the characters in this like memory lane because they're not Soul Society. And it's like, no, we're going back to the human world for a bit. Am I talking about Sado? Maybe I'm just talking about Sado. Look, I'm predictable, I know. Like, I understand why we did this, but also, like, I understand that she's a good person. She's less petty than I am. Considerably. She does that. I don't know how much it'll help, though, because if it's connected to his Soul Reaper being locked away. Ah, that's such an interesting connection to be like, his aura is similar to the Arankar. I don't like that looks like blood spatter and broken glass. Wow, very intimidating. Well said, really. Dang. He's fine. He'll shake that off. He almost fell on his head, though. So he's just gonna shake that off. He's just like, that's fine. It's gonna take more than that. I like how the ground gave out before he did. Like, he's just like, I'm not dodging. Running away? No. Oh, I was gonna say, are we going for the eyes? Or are we just playing around? Speaking of people, it's gonna take a lot more to take them down. I love how she looks so unimpressed there. I just realized that we had, like, two cat-esque girls right now. Women? Ooh, dang. We kick her in the head? I was gonna say, if you weren't there, do you know what all's going on? Yeah. We're gonna figure out how to get some of them back, though, right? Mayuri's on that? I love, like, Shira's just like, yeah. Yeah, it was like, that was a weighted pause. I like how they're all just like, let's just break out of here. We got this. We're a bunch of captains. I wonder if it's because he's taking power from, like, hollows, right? So, like, that's why he reminds of, like, Arnkar, because it's, like, a mixture of, like, the, like, hollow ability and, like, right, like, that's kind of, like, overpowering where his source of power is, right? Because he doesn't have the Soul Reaper to, like, pull that from. Ugh, look at them having teamwork. That is kind of the point. They are stalling to some extent. Don't get distracted. He literally didn't make any of the clones near him. I was gonna say, one of us is a range, or one of us is a up close and personal, but I'm like, it makes sense to be like, he's gonna respawn somewhere else. I know that's not what he's doing. I know he's moving fast, but... Oh yeah, there's a lot of context that we don't quite have. I mean, they have some of it, because they, like, got a bit of a debrief, but there's been some stuff going on. And it's different from like hearing about it to like actually experiencing it, right? I was gonna say that's not terribly intimidating, that the world is just like warbly, but as someone who gets vertigo, I'm like, nah, it would take me out. Ooh, are we having like flashback? Yeah. Ooh. I'll be actual gut punch. Hey, I already didn't like you very much, but if you're gonna insult my boy, I'll fight you with my bare hands. Nah. Them fighting words. I hope Ichigo I hope Ichigo makes you hurt a lot, okay? Interesting matchup of powers. Because they're both like range in a lot of ways. Right? Like multiple projectiles at range. Obviously very different like tactics. I feel like maybe we don't bring the fight closer to our friends though. Does that work? Can we block illusions? I guess if it's like a physical attack to some extent. Look, we don't need to be like that. I understand though, like he's born from like the kind of like rebellion, like his Soul Reaper at least was like rebellious, and he's part of that. Also, we've been like munching on hollows, and that can't be good, right? For like the psyche. I was like, I recognize that voice. Let's go. Still fighting. But I also need to not be distracted by the whole like Byakuya of it all. Yeah, this really isn't the time for us to have like a debrief on everything that's been going on. He's not rude. Just give him a second. He usually takes like an episode to travel from one part to another. Just let him cook. Oh, good. Actual hollows? Big hollows. Yeah, I was like, is it kind of similar to the Zanpakuto thing of like being able to use those abilities? Okay, but like, why didn't he use Yamamoto's Zanpakuto ability? Did we run out of time with it? I would have just been like starting fires and what have you. Also, like, Byakuya is just like not here, so I'm like, I'm assuming he's doing something. He's unsupervised. Do we have a plan about breaking the seal? I guess like the power, right? Like that's part of the reason we got the Zanpakuto, but like maybe that's it, but we're just weak, we're saving it. Seems a little intense to have the incantation with the chanting in the back. Oh, look at my boys still being part of it. Down but not out. Look at him go. Real one. I like the trust there, being like, the signal of being like, go, we got this, and Rikia being like, all right. Right? Like, they've been through so much that I love the whole, like, yeah, okay, I'll leave this to you, without, like, further argument. Stay focused. Well, we rarely use a blade. Ah, hence the broken glass, the like, title card. Spooky. I don't like it to change, like, the entire atmosphere. Yeah, close combat is definitely not our strong suit. It's also kind of like a lightsaber. Aesthetically. Dang, did we go for a headshot? That's not terrifying at all. It's not spooky. Any definition of the word. I was gonna say, we still have most of the mask. We went for like the mouth? Like the chin? Most powerful. I mean, he didn't win. Yeah, glowing eyes is always a good sign. Especially when the, like, organ sounds come in. I'm like, yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, I assumed, I'm like, we're gonna have to deal with this at some point. It's not like we're gonna avert this happening. Y'all are really close to there just being, like, swords flying around. Oi. You're looking a little rough, buddy. I don't know what I expected, but, like, that's... See, there he is. Fashionably late as always. Well, at least we're apologetic about it. I love that he's just like, I'm not gonna explain myself. Who cares? Fight me. Look a little mummified there. Which I guess makes sense considering that he's been all corpseified for a bit. Oh, good. He's awake. With also, there's some glowing eyes. I don't know if that's just like the effect, like the to be continued, but like usually glowing eyes, not great, right? I hate so many thoughts, and then my brain was just like, no, I'm not gonna give you any of them. But like, one of them, okay, so like Byakuya's he's gotta be doing something, right? Like, I was already like, he's gotta have some kind of plan that I don't know about. But also, I feel like he's gotta have more information about what's going on, because I also feel like benefit of the doubt wouldn't have destroyed Rukia's Sanpakto if he didn't know that there was some way around what was going on. And considering that this is something that is, like, connected to the past, right? That we can pull from past events with Soul Society, I'm assuming he knows something. Right? Like, maybe, like, Yamamoto told him some stuff before we got here. That would be my guess anyway. I just assume there's a plan in place that we're just like not communicating. Probably because then we wouldn't have a plot, but like still. Just talk to each other. Just communicate. So I'm assuming we're getting a flashback next episode. Some more context for what's going on. Baking sweet potatoes is very important. It's how you know you could rely on a friend, you know? Aren't we all? Aren't we all? I feel like episodes like this are a little bit trickier for me to pull apart when it comes to filler stuff, just because it's more like combat heavy, right? Like the majority of the stuff going on in this was a bit like, how do we get to the point where we've unlocked the seal and now we have to deal with the next like big bad, like the true big bad of everything going on, right? And because of that, and it's like filler, and the budget's not exactly there for the like fight choreography, it's a little bit tricky for me to pull any of it apart because I don't know much of a background when it comes to fight choreography or like animation or anything like that. And when there isn't much of a budget to work with, I can always tell that there's a little bit more because we get like these weird pauses in some of these episodes where characters just say nothing. They're like, we gotta reuse this frame for multiple seconds so that we can get away with the runtime and not have to like animate stuff. So it just feels like a little bit clunky when we get to something that's like very combat heavy, where you start to see some of it a little bit more than when you have something that's more like dialogue and like backstory. But I'm excited that with the preview, it looks like we're going to be getting like a bit of a flashback, because I do really want to know like what led up to a rebellion, and talking about like how powerful Munamasa's Soul Reaper seems to be, and enough that they were like, we can't defeat him, but we can seal him away, and what some of the backstory is, especially since, like I was saying, I assume that Byakuya has more information about what's going on, and that's why he disappeared, and I assume is like doing research by siding with the rebellion or whatever. I assume that he's part of some kind of greater plan of everything that's going on. I want to know some of that backstory so that I might have an idea of what he might be up to and like what the overall plan for him is. But I do like getting to see some of the characters again, like Ishida and Sado and Orihime, and get a little bit more of a remember these characters and stuff. And we'll see if we get any of the other ones who are kind of like around involved. I feel like there's a chance for that as we go forward, and wait for the captains to get out of the, quite frankly, like extremely dangerous like forever flame prison that they've been put in. So I'll give them some grace that it's gonna take us like a second to get out of this, but I love how they were just like, we're like, there's 4 captains here, we can break out. We're like the strongest of the captains too, we can break out of this. So I'm excited to see where we get to with like backstory and everyone, I'm assuming, getting more of a final fight, final showdown at some point as we get further through. So I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click this place to go into my previous reactions, or you can subscribe so next time I post a Bleach reaction, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.